Come to order. Will you please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And for those participating via Zoom this evening, when we get to the item that you wish to speak on, please use the raise your hand feature, and city staff will turn on your microphone so that you can speak at the appropriate time. Let the record show that all members of the Planning Commission are in attendance this evening. Brings us to item B, minutes. This is the approval of minutes of the regular Planning Commission meeting of July the 12th, 2022. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion.
Commissioner Bogasich and Commissioner Fitz. Can I have a vote?
Aye.
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 I was absent. Oh, okay. You can abstain. I'll abstain.
Okay. The motion passes 3 ayes and 1 abstention. That brings us to item C, written communications. Do we have any written communications this evening?
No written communications this evening.
Thank you. Brings us to item D, that's oral communications, and it's giving anybody in the audience the opportunity to speak on anything on tonight's agenda. Does anybody wish to speak? Okay, do we have anyone wishing to speak via Zoom this evening?
Not tonight, Chair.
Thank you. All right, that brings us to item E, which is public hearing. And tonight we have a public hearing to consider a resolution recommending approval of a conditional use permit. It's U-2022-001. This is for a temporary commercial entertainment use, Fear Overload Haunted House, and it's to be located at 2086 New Park Mall in suite number 1149, and the APN number is 901-111-25. Do we have a staff report this evening?
Yes, our Associate Planner, Joseph Balabut, will be giving the presentation.
Thank you.
Oh, let me.
Thank you. And good evening, Chairperson, Commissioners. So this is a conditional use permit request to allow for Fear Overload Haunted House, which is a temporary commercial entertainment use inside New Park Mall, located at 2086 New Park Mall, Suite 1149. Tonight, I will be going over the project information zoning code, as well as the site plan, floor plan, conditional use permit required findings, and a short way to say that is a CUP, and I'll be saying that throughout my presentation. CEQA exemption, and CEQA stands for California Environmental Quality Act. And then lastly is the recommendation. So the applicant is Nathan Polenko from Fear Overload LLC. And the project site is zoned RC, Regional Commercial, with the New Park Place Specific Plan Overlay District. The project site has a general plan designation of Regional Commercial. The applicant is requesting Planning Commission approval of a CUP for the temporary commercial entertainment use inside the mall. The proposed temporary use would be open on selective days for a total of 30 days from September 24th, 2022 through November 5th, 2022. The hours of operation would vary, where certain days would be open at 5:30 p.m., 6 p.m., and 7 p.m., and close at 9 p.m., 10 p.m., and 12 a.m. The proposed project is subject to temporary use standards in the zoning code, and as part of the standards, an approval of a CUP by the Planning Commission is required for a temporary event that exceeds 3 consecutive days, so long as they are not intended to extend longer than 1 month, and they are not determined to not impact neighboring uses or otherwise create significant impacts. So the proposed temporary use would occupy an existing 7,504 square foot tenant space, and that tenant space was formerly occupied by Rasputin Records, which was a music record store. Depending on the days, the applicant would have 3 security guards on slow nights and 8 security guards on busy nights. The security guards would consist of New Park Mall security, as well as the applicant's security team. The security guards and employees who would be trained to act in response of an emergency would make sure the haunted house attraction would operate in a safe and efficient manner. As for parking, the parking area in front of the former Sears building, which is currently vacant, is typically underutilized. Therefore, the mall would have reasonable amount of parking available for the proposed temporary use. The attendees would be encouraged to park their vehicles along the southwestern side of the mall between 24 Hour Fitness and the former Sears building. And on the site plan you see on your screen, the area that's colored yellow is the area where parking is encouraged for the attendees. The internal operation would consist of a walkthrough attraction and would be filled with unique Halloween-related themes. The applicant estimates a total of 450 customers who would attend on peak nights and a total of 200 customers that would attend on non-peak nights. The total number of employees would be about 25 seasonal employees. And at a given time, approximately 95 people total, which includes both customers and employees, would be allowed to enter the building. The project is subject to building code and fire code requirements, and as part of the conditions of approval, the applicant would need to demonstrate compliance with the maximum occupancy allowance within the building. This condition would need to be addressed at the time of building permit and fire permit submittal. The applicant is also proposing interior improvements, which requires a building permit, and those improvements include installing wood partition walls for the forming areas. No exterior improvements would be proposed as part of this project. An identical event did take place at the San Leandro Bayfair Center. However, since Bayfair is undergoing renovations, the applicant is proposing to have the event at New Park Mall. I did contact planning staff from the San Leandro Planning Division and was informed that there were no reported issues with the event. In fact, I received positive comments from planning staff from San Leandro. So the use permit review and approval process is intended to apply to uses that are generally consistent with the purposes of the zoning district, where they're proposed but require special consideration to ensure that they can be designed, located, and operated in a manner that will not interfere with the use of the enjoyment of surrounding properties. So the Planning Commission shall approve or conditionally approve the CUP request based on the required findings as stated in Section 17.35.060 of the Newark Municipal Code. The inability to make one or more of the findings is grounds for denial of the application. And based off staff analysis, the CUP findings for the proposed project can be made in the affirmative and are provided in attachment 3 of the staff report. So the project is categorically exempt from the CEQA review pursuant to Article 19, Section 15301, and also for Article 5, Section 15061, B3. So therefore, no further environmental review is required. So with that said, staff recommends that the Planning Commission approve by resolution conditional use permit U 2022-001 as requested by the project applicant based on the findings provided in the draft resolution. That concludes my presentation. I'll be happy to answer any questions. I do want to note that the applicant is available virtually for any questions.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Balabat. Does anybody on the commission have any questions at this time?
One question.
Commissioner Aguilar?
Thank you. The question I have is really more or less just kind of a check-in. When looking at the project, it looks like some of the parking is for the Sears parking lot. I know there's plenty of parking at the mall, so I don't suspect it to be an issue. But just more kind of I think it was probably about a year ago we approved a project for redevelopment where the Sears is. Will there be any impact with the the applicant we see today and their parking and the potential redevelopment of the Sears site?
I can answer that, since I'm the one that's reviewing the Phase A of the
Yeah.
New Park Place. So the applicant is still working with utilities and getting some permits, and it's taking a little longer than expected. Just a few weeks ago, they told me that they expect to do some groundbreaking probably towards the end of the year, which would be after this period that we're discussing here. So it would not interfere with the event and the parking required.
Perfect, thank you.
Commissioner Fitz?
Yes, thank you. Good report. On the parking issue, again, I went in there and looked at the property, walked through the mall and everything, and there's tremendous amount of cars parked right in front of 24-hour fitness. I think that if there's a way that they can get the applicant to maybe put some signage out there so they can suggest that the people park over by Sears and come in that one entrance that's not where Jack's is, but there's one on the other side of 24-hour fitness, because if you have 450 people coming on a busy night, that parking lot's filled almost all the time right there. So I had a problem just getting in there, and we had to go park by Jack's to get in the mall. And the other question I had is that as far as the hours of operation, is this open longer than the mall? Because this is like till midnight or something like that. And I think, doesn't the regular mall close down earlier than that? Mm-hmm. So they would have one entrance that probably just for them to come in after hours?
Mm-hmm. I'll answer that question first.
Oh, okay.
So I did have a conversation with the property owner for New Park. The property owner is Brookfield. And that was my concern too. 12 a.m., the mall closes. I think it's 8 o'clock, if I'm not mistaken. That is okay. And this is the reason why security is very important, where with the security guards, they'll make sure for the business that's still operating past the hours of the mall, that they would be escorted out of the mall in an appropriate manner, and rather than wandering off inside the mall when the mall is closed. And so they are working with New Park Mall security as well as the applicant security team to make sure that they exit appropriately out of the building.
Keep them confined in that area.
Mm-hmm, right. As for the other question about signage, does the code say anything about signage about parking?
To answer that question, it doesn't, but we could recommend it to the applicant that somehow they talk to their security team that in regards to parking, if there's additional parking that is required besides the 2 rows that were kind of highlighted in the plans, that they use the excess parking that is, let me see if I get my directions right, I'm gonna say to the north of those parking rows instead of closer to the restaurant and the 24-hour. So we'll explain that to them.
That's all I had for my questions right now.
Does anybody else on the commission have any questions? Okay. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and open the public hearing, which will allow anyone in the audience who wishes to speak on this item to do so. And as we traditionally do, we begin with the applicant. So is Mr. Polanco available or on Zoom?
He is, and I will activate his ability to speak. And Mr. Polanco, you should be able to speak at this time.
Hi, yes. Nice to meet you all virtually.
Thank you, Mr. Polanco. And I'll begin with the first question, which is, have you read the resolution and do you agree to all the conditions?
Yes, I have read it, and yes, I agree to all the conditions.
Okay, that's the right answer. Thank you. Okay, do we have anybody in the audience wishing to speak on this item? Okay, seeing not. Mr. Turner, do we have anybody via Zoom besides Mr. Polanco that wishes to speak on this item?
No speakers on Zoom this evening. Thank you.
Okay. Well, seeing not, I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing, bring it back to the commission. Does the commission have any additional questions? Yes. Commissioner Fitz?
Yes, while we have the applicant, I just wondered, I guess this operation was in existence up at the Bayfair Mall, and it's not there now. I just wondered what your experience was at the mall in Bayfair. Was there any police problems or any incidents that caused a concern for the community nearby in the past?
Yeah, so we'd actually been there for 13 years in a row. And we've never been involved in a lawsuit or anything like that. Yeah, we haven't really had any issues with the police or anything like that.
Great.
Okay, well, that's good to know.
That's
Commissioner
all I
Bogus?
have, yeah.
Thank you. Commissioner Bogusic?
Do I need to press to talk to? But I just wanted, in the wording, it says cannot go beyond a month, but it's going from September to November. Does that mean a month, 30 days, anywhere in there, or a month?
Yes, the staff interpretation was that it's a maximum of 30 days.
Okay, so not just month, okay.
And that typically is the definition of a temporary use if it goes beyond 30 days.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
it's, yes.
Thank you. Any other questions by the commission? Okay, at this point, I'm going to entertain a motion to approve by resolution the conditional use permit as recommended by staff. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Commissioner Bogusic? Commissioner Aguilar? Please vote, and we're going to go ahead and use the voting. Okay, the resolution passes 4 ayes, and we have a vacant position. Very good. Congratulations, Mr. Polanco, and good luck.
Great, thank you so much. I'm looking forward to it.
Welcome to Newark.
Thank you.
Okay, that completes our public hearings this evening. That brings us to item F, which is staff reports. We do not have any staff reports this evening. And that brings us to item G, commission matters. Do we have any report on city council actions?
No report on actions tonight.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Turner. That brings us to item H, which is planning commission comments. Do any commissioners have any comments or questions at this point? Okay, seeing not, that brings us to item I, which is adjournment. We are adjourned.